Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent prison that holds more people captive than failure ever could. It has no bars, no guards, no locked doors, yet millions live inside it every single day. It's called the comfort zone. And the tragedy is not that people are trapped. The tragedy is that most don't even realize they're imprisoned. The comfort zone feels warm. It feels predictable. It whispers, stay here, risk it. And slowly, quietly, it convinces you to settle, to shrink your dreams to match your fears, to trade growth for security, to trade possibility for routine. But here is the truth: nothing extraordinary has ever grown in comfort. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Skills don't develop without practice. Character doesn't strengthen without challenge. And success, real success, does not come to those who choose the easy path over the necessary one. Some of you in this room know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a goal you've been postponing, a business idea you haven't launched, a skill you haven't developed, a conversation you haven't had, not because you can't, but because it feels uncomfortable. And so you wait, and waiting turns into months. Months turn into years, and years quietly turn into regret. Tonight, we are going to expose the comfort zone for what it truly is: a beautiful cage. And more importantly, we are going to talk about how to break free from it, not with reckless leaps, not with blind ambition, but with deliberate, disciplined action that transforms fear into fuel and discomfort into growth. If you stay with me until the end, you will understand why the most successful individuals in any field share one powerful trait: they made discomfort their ally. They stopped negotiating with fear. They stopped asking for permission. And they began stepping beyond what was familiar into what was possible. Because your future does not live inside your comfort zone. It lives just beyond it. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we begin the journey of breaking free. Ladies and gentlemen, comfort is seductive. It does not demand much from you. It asks only that you remain where you are. No bold moves. No difficult conversations. No uncomfortable decisions. Just stay consistent with what is familiar. But here is the question we must confront: what does that comfort actually cost you? Everything in life has a price. Success has a price. Discipline has a price. But comfort also has a price, and it is often far more expensive than people realize. The difference is this: the price of growth is paid up front in effort and discomfort. The price of comfort is paid later in regret. When you choose comfort over challenge, you are not choosing neutrality. You are choosing stagnation. While you remain still, the world moves forward. Industries evolve, skills advance, opportunities shift. And the longer you delay stepping forward, the wider the gap becomes between where you are and where you could have been. Think about the promotion you didn't pursue, the business you didn't start, the skill you didn't develop, the conversation you avoided. Each time you said, maybe later, what you really said was, I accept where I am. Now, there is nothing wrong with contentment. But there is everything wrong with quiet dissatisfaction. When you know you are capable of more yet continue settling for less, that inner tension grows, and that tension becomes frustration. The cost of comfort is not always visible at first. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up as boredom, as envy when you see someone else succeed, as quiet resentment when others take risks you avoided, as that lingering thought at night, I could have done more. And here is something powerful to understand: time magnifies the cost of comfort. 1 year of playing small might not seem significant, but 5 years, 20 years, compounded hesitation creates compounded regret. Opportunities expire, windows close, energy shifts. What once required courage now requires even more because of lost time. Comfort also erodes confidence. When you repeatedly avoid challenges, you train your mind to associate discomfort with danger. You begin to doubt your capabilities. You shrink your ambitions to match your habits. And slowly your belief in yourself weakens, not because you lack ability, but because you lack evidence of courage. Confidence is built through action. It grows when you face difficulty and survive it. When you remain comfortable, you deny yourself the very experiences that strengthen you. And let's speak honestly, comfort often disguises itself as practicality. You tell yourself, I'm being realistic. Oh, I'm waiting for the right time. I'm preparing, but preparation without execution becomes procrastination. Planning without action becomes delay, and delay, repeated often enough, becomes a lifestyle. The cost of staying comfortable is not just external success. It is internal growth. It is self-respect. It is momentum. Ladies and gentlemen, one day you will look back at your life, and on that day you will not regret the risks you took nearly as much as the risks you avoided. You will not regret the times you tried and failed nearly as much as the times you never tried at all. Comfort promises protection, but it delivers limitation. It offers ease, but it steals expansion. It gives you predictability, but it takes away possibility. The question is simple there: is the comfort you're protecting worth the potential you're sacrificing? Because the life you desire will always demand more than your comfort is willing to give. Ladies and gentlemen, when people hear the words break free, they often imagine something dramatic. They picture quitting a job overnight, launching a business with no plan, making a bold declaration that changes everything in a single moment. But real transformation rarely happens that way. Real transformation is quieter. It is built in small, consistent daily risks. The truth is this: you do not escape the comfort zone in one giant leap. You stretch it inch by inch. And those inches, compounded over time, change your entire life. A small daily risk might be speaking up in a meeting when you would normally stay silent. It might be introducing yourself to someone new instead of waiting to be approached. It might be waking up an hour earlier to work on a skill that advances your future. It might be making that phone call you've been postponing. Individually, these actions seem minor, but collectively they are powerful. Why? Because every small risk sends a message to your mind: I can handle discomfort. And when your mind begins to believe that, your identity begins to shift. Most people wait for confidence before they act, but confidence does not come first. Action does. Every time you take a small risk and survive it, every time you stretch and realize the world did not collapse, you expand your sense of capability. Small risks reduce fear because they make fear familiar. The unknown becomes known. The intimidating becomes manageable. What once felt impossible begins to feel achievable. And here is where discipline enters the picture. Taking a single risk is inspiring. Taking small risks daily is transformational. Growth is not an event, it is a practice. Just as you would not expect to build physical strength by lifting weights once, you cannot expect to build mental or emotional strength without consistent repetition. Each day you must choose a stretch. Each day you must lean slightly beyond what feels easy. The beauty of small risks is that they are sustainable. They do not require reckless courage. They require intentional effort. And intentional effort builds momentum. Momentum is powerful. When you take one bold action, the next becomes easier. When you accomplish one difficult task, your belief expands. When you prove to yourself that you can operate outside your comfort zone, you begin seeking it rather than avoiding it. And something remarkable happens. The very activities that once made you uncomfortable begin to energize you. You start to crave progress. You begin to measure your days not by how comfortable they were, but by how much you grew. Ladies and gentlemen, do not underestimate the compound effect of daily courage. A single courageous act may change your day, but consistent courageous acts will change your identity. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. You need to take one deliberate step today. One conversation, one commitment, one challenge, and then repeat it again tomorrow. Over time, those small risks build resilience. They sharpen skill. They elevate standards. And without realizing it, you look back and discover that the comfort zone you once lived inside has expanded beyond recognition. Freedom from the comfort zone is not about intensity. It is about consistency. So ask yourself each morning, what is one small risk I can take today that moves me closer to who I want to become? Because small daily risks, practiced faithfully, will carry you further than occasional bursts of bravery ever could. Ladies and gentlemen, let us talk about the force that keeps most people inside their comfort zone: fear. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of not being good enough. Fear is powerful. It can stop a dream before it begins. It can silence a voice before it speaks. It can shrink ambition before it grows. But what if fear is not the enemy you think it is? What if fear is not a wall, but a signal? Understand this clearly. Fear does not mean stop. Fear often means this matters. Think about the moments in your life when you felt fear. Starting something new, taking on responsibility, standing in front of people, making a big decision. Fear shows up whenever you are about to expand. It appears at the edge of your comfort zone like a guard protecting the gate. But that guard is not there to destroy you. It is there to test you. When you feel fear, your instinct is to retreat. Your mind says, this is uncomfortable, go back. And if you obey that voice repeatedly, you train yourself to associate fear with danger. But most of the fears that hold you back are not life-threatening. They are ego-threatening. You fear criticism. You fear looking inexperienced. You fear making mistakes in public, yet mistakes are the tuition of success. Criticism is the price of visibility. And inexperience is temporary if you are willing to begin. Reframing fear begins with a simple shift in interpretation. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what will I learn? Instead of thinking, what if they judge me? Ask, what if this grows me? Fear is energy. It raises your heartbeat. It sharpens your awareness. It heightens your senses. That energy can paralyze you or it can propel you. The difference lies in how you label it. Elite performers in any field still feel fear. The difference is they have learned to use it. They interpret nervousness as readiness. They see pressure as privilege. They understand that if something feels intimidating, it likely holds growth. And here is a powerful principle: the size of your fear often reflects the size of your opportunity. You rarely feel intense fear about small, insignificant actions. You feel it when something could change your life. That presentation could elevate your career. That business idea could transform your finances. That conversation could repair a relationship. Fear magnifies importance. The key is not eliminating fear, it is moving with it. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action despite it. Every time you act while afraid, you weaken fear's control. Every time you step forward, you prove to yourself that discomfort does not equal disaster. And something extraordinary happens over time. Fear loses authority, it becomes familiar, it becomes manageable. Eventually, it becomes a companion on your journey rather than a barrier blocking the path. Ladies and gentlemen, your comfort zone tells you to avoid fear. Growth tells you to follow it. The next time you feel fear rising, pause. Instead of retreating, ask yourself, is this fear protecting me from harm or preventing me from growth? Because on the other side of fear is expansion. On the other side of fear is skill. On the other side of fear is the version of you that you have not yet met. Do not run from fear. Reframe it, harness it, let it fuel the action that moves you forward. Ladies and gentlemen, if comfort is the prison, then discomfort is the training ground for freedom. You cannot grow strong in an environment that never challenges you. Just as muscles require resistance to develop, character requires adversity, skill requires repetition, confidence requires proof, and proof only comes when you endure something difficult and come out stronger. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And you build it the same way you build anything valuable, through deliberate exposure to challenge. Most people try to avoid discomfort. They organize their lives around ease. They eliminate friction wherever possible. But in doing so, they also eliminate the very conditions that produce growth. Consider this: when you face a difficult situation, a demanding project, a setback, criticism, or failure, you are presented with two options. You can interpret it as a threat to your identity, or you can interpret it as training. If you see it as a threat, you retreat. If you see it as training, you adapt. And adaptation is the birthplace of resilience. Resilience is your ability to recover quickly from setbacks. It is emotional endurance. It is mental toughness. It is the capacity to stay steady when circumstances become unstable. But resilience does not appear automatically when you need it. It is developed long before the crisis arrives. Every uncomfortable experience you willingly step into becomes a deposit in your resilience account. Each time you push through fatigue, each time you continue after criticism, each time you attempt again after failure, you are strengthening your internal foundation. The person who avoids discomfort remains fragile. The smallest obstacle feels overwhelming. The slightest criticism feels personal. The smallest failure feels final. But the person who has trained through discomfort understands something powerful. Pain is temporary, but growth is permanent. Let's be honest, discomfort is not pleasant. It stretches your patience. It challenges your confidence. It forces you to confront weaknesses you would rather ignore. But that confrontation is exactly what produces transformation. When you deliberately take on challenges, you begin to change your relationship with difficulty. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this teaching me? Instead of collapsing under pressure, you lean into it. Instead of avoiding hard tasks, you approach them first. And over time, you notice something remarkable. What once felt overwhelming now feels manageable. What once felt impossible now feels routine. That is resilience in action. Ladies and gentlemen, life will not remove difficulty for your convenience. There will be unexpected setbacks. There will be disappointment. There will be moments when progress feels slow. The question is not whether discomfort will come. The question is whether you will be prepared for it. If you train yourself to seek controlled discomfort through disciplined habits, bold action, and intentional growth, you will not be shaken by temporary setbacks. You will bend, but you will not break. Resilience gives you staying power. And staying power is what separates those who start from those who succeed. So do not resent discomfort. Respect it. It is shaping you. It is strengthening you. It is preparing you for opportunities that require a stronger version of yourself. Because the life beyond the comfort zone does not belong to the fragile. It belongs to the resilient. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking free from the comfort zone is powerful, but staying free requires discipline. Many people experience moments of inspiration. They attend a seminar. They watch a powerful message. They feel energized. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, they act boldly. But then something happens. The initial emotion fades. The routine creeps back in. The comfort zone quietly rebuilds itself. Freedom without structure is temporary. Momentum is not created by intensity. It is created by consistency. And consistency is built on systems, not emotions. If you want to remain outside your comfort zone, you must design your life in a way that demands growth. That means setting standards that stretch you. That means creating daily habits that challenge you. That means surrounding yourself with people who expect more from you than average. Let me make something clear. Your comfort zone will always try to reclaim you. It will tempt you with convenience. It will offer shortcuts. It will suggest you've done enough. But growth has no finish line. There is always another level of skill to develop, another mindset to refine, another challenge to overcome. The goal is not to eliminate comfort entirely. The goal is to expand it continuously. When you consistently take action beyond your current limits, your comfort zone grows with you. What once intimidated you becomes normal. What once required courage becomes standard. And that is how progress compounds. Sustaining momentum requires 3 essential disciplines. First, reflection. You must regularly evaluate your progress. Ask yourself, am I stretching? Am I learning? Am I improving? Growth that is not measured often fades. Awareness keeps you intentional. Second, accountability. Whether through mentors, peers, or personal standards, accountability prevents drift. When no one expects more from you, it becomes easy to expect less from yourself. But when you are held to a higher standard, complacency becomes uncomfortable. Third, renewal. Momentum is not about constant exhaustion. It is about strategic recovery. Rest is necessary, but rest with purpose, not retreat. Recharge so you can return stronger, not so you can remain stagnant. Ladies and gentlemen, momentum thrives on forward motion. Even small steps maintain progress. When you stop entirely, restarting feels heavy. But when you move daily, even modestly, you keep the engine running. Understand this: the world rewards sustained effort far more than occasional brilliance. Many people begin with excitement. Few continue with discipline. And it is discipline that separates temporary motivation from lasting transformation. The comfort zone prison loses its power when growth becomes your lifestyle, when stretching yourself becomes habitual, when discomfort becomes familiar, when progress becomes your standard. One day, you will look back and realize that the person who once feared stepping outside their comfort zone no longer exists. In their place stands someone stronger, more confident, more capable. And that transformation did not happen because of one bold moment. It happened because you refused to drift back into comfort. It happened because you chose consistency over convenience. It happened because you understood that freedom is not a single act, it is a sustained commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, break free, but more importantly, stay free. Keep expanding, keep stretching, keep moving, because growth is not a destination you arrive at. It is a direction you choose every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, the comfort zone was never meant to be your home. It was meant to be your starting point. You were not designed for a life of hesitation, routine, and quiet compromise. You were designed for expansion, for challenge, for progress. The bars of the prison were never locked. They were simply accepted. And today you have a choice. You can return to what is easy, predictable, and familiar, or you can step forward into growth, courage, and possibility. The difference between an average life and an extraordinary one is not talent, luck, or background. It is the willingness to step beyond comfort again and again. So when fear appears, move anyway. When discomfort rises, grow anyway. When doubt whispers, act anyway. Because on the other side of your comfort zone is the life you've been waiting for. And it is waiting for you to be bold enough to claim it.